Alright guys, welcome back. So this is going to be, I guess, a part 2 to the Beretta versus Sig video that I did a while back. And actually that first video that I did, I guess some people misunderstood what the video was supposed to be about. And I showed these two particular pistols. I had my Beretta M9 and my P229 Legion. And these are just the two particular examples that I have for each brand. I wasn't necessarily comparing this M9 to the Legion series of pistols. I was just trying to do Beretta versus Sig in general. But anyhow, this is going to be part 2, and this is going to be directed towards this particular pistol and this particular pistol. The Legion versus the Wilson Combat Beretta. Now, if you missed those videos, the Beretta M9, we did a project with it and decked it out with a whole bunch of different Wilson Combat parts. We've got the Dirty Olive slim grips on it. We got the extended mag release. We got the single-sided low profile safety slash decocker. We did the steel short reach trigger, and then we did the duty spring kit, which is a 16-pound hammer spring and a 14-pound recoil spring, which the recoil spring is a little heavier. The hammer spring is a little lighter, so it really did improve the trigger on this thing a bunch. And then we also put the Beretta Elite 2 hammer in it. So we did a lot to this pistol to enhance it and make it better, in my opinion. Now, the P229 Legion, it is pretty much the same, except I changed out the trigger shoe to the Gray Guns double adjustable flat face trigger. Now, the trigger that comes in the Legion pistols is a Gray Guns trigger, and it is adjustable, but it's not double adjustable, and it is your standard curve style trigger. Now, the Legion pistol, or the Legion trigger, the Gray Guns trigger that comes in the Legion, is excellent within itself. It does not need to be changed out. I just personally prefer flat face triggers, so that's why I changed it out. So that's kind of a quick rundown on the two pistols. And if you want to see those videos, if you haven't seen them, I've got range videos testing, the guns after all those parts. I got the install videos on all of this stuff. Just go back through the channel. It's some of them. It's at least the last 15 videos, and I'll put up some links and stuff if you want to use those. But I want to do this part 2 because a lot of the comments that I got on the first video were people saying that it's not fair to compare a $550 to $600 Beretta to a $1,200 Legion series pistol. But now that we've got all the enhancements and the upgrades done to the M9, making it the Wilson Combat version, it's not your off-the-shelf from Wilson Combat Beretta. It doesn't have everything done to it that those guns do, but it has probably 95% of it. So we can kind of compare it to a Wilson Combat style M9. But like I was saying, people were saying that was unfair. The Legion is double the cost, so of course it's going to be a little bit better. Because in that first video, I said that if I had to choose one, I was going with the 229. And so I guess I want to do this to talk about maybe how my opinions have changed a little bit now that the M9 or the 92 is much better now. So what were my complaints about the M9 or the 92? The biggest complaint that I have personally, and I know a lot of people do as well, is the safety slash decocker that's up on the slide. That is one thing that I absolutely hate about the Beretta M9. Really the only thing that I can say that I hate about it. And the reason being is on the standard Berettas, the standard levers are really wide and they're ambidextrous, so they're on both sides. So when you come over the top to run the gun, I ran into it many times. You will kick that lever, decock it, and put the gun on safe. And when you put the gun on safe, it renders the gun useless, and I hate that. Now, luckily, I was just out at the range having fun, plinking around and all that, and I wasn't in a serious situation. Because if I was, say this was a home defense situation and I had to change a mag out because I had an issue with one or whatever the reason was, I came over the top, racked it, and needed to shoot the bad guy, and I rendered that gun useless, that could potentially get me or my family members or loved ones or whatever killed because seconds are going to matter. So that's one thing that I really didn't like about it. So with this new Wilson Combat low profile safety, I went out to the range and put 200 rounds through it, came over the top and ran it, never had any issues with it. Now, I'm not saying that it isn't a possibility, because it still is, because this is still a safety and all that, but I did not run into it with however many mag changes that was to get to 200 rounds. And of course, we're still going to keep taking this thing out to the range to test it and make sure, because it still is possible, but this thing is very, very low profile, and when you come over the top, you're grabbing more of the slide. You're not hardly even touching that thing. So I think it's going to be at least 98% fixed and not run into that issue, but there's still a chance. Now, the other thing that kind of pushed me towards the Sig over the Beretta was the trigger. But like I said, now both of these guns are safe and empty. So I don't know if I mentioned that yet or not, but they are safe and empty. But I guess I'll go ahead and show the Sig first and why I like the Sig trigger so much. The double single action on the Sigs are excellent on any of them, not even just this Legion. But then this double action pull is nice and smooth. This one is right around, I think, the 8.5 pound mark on the double action pull. So nice, smooth double action pull. Single action, you're going to have some take up and then a nice, short, crisp, light break. This is, I don't know, 4 pounds or under. I can't remember exactly what it was, but very nice, very light single action break. But where the Sig really shines and beats the Beretta by far is this nice reset. Right there. Very short, very audible, very tactile. It's just a fantastic reset. And I've had other Sigs. I had 229 Extreme that had the short reset. It was just as good. The M11A1 and then the Mark 25, which the Mark 25 didn't come with the short reach or the short reset trigger in it. I added it to it, but it was just excellent. And that is one area that the Sig just kills the Beretta, in my opinion, in my personal preference. But like I said, we put the lighter hammer spring and the short reach steel trigger in the Beretta. So we'll take a look at the double action pull. As you can see, very nice and smooth. Very nice and smooth. Before, it had that polymer trigger in it, and it wasn't a bad trigger, but you did have a little bit of sponginess to it because the trigger would flex. Not a bunch, but it did flex and give it kind of a spongy, mushy feel as you were pulling it back, especially in the double action when you have that heavier pull. It did flex a little bit, but that is taken care of with this steel trigger. So the double action is fantastic. Now the single action, again, is very, very good. It's nice and light, especially with that new hammer spring in there. You have your take up just like on the Sig, then a nice short break. So double single action, excellent. But the reset still is not quite as nice, and I'll show you here. Right there. So, I mean, it's not terrible. I've seen much, much worse, but right there's the break, and then you've got take up again, and then you've got your break. So the reset isn't quite there, but the trigger is night and day difference with that spring kit in it. Now, I know you can accomplish the same thing with the Beretta D-spring, I think they call it, or something like that. You can get the trigger just as nice, but overall, I guess my two biggest complaints with the Beretta have been more or less solved after we did this project and made it the Wilson Combat Beretta. So, am I still leaning as far towards the Sig as I was in that first video? Absolutely not. Now, another thing, like I said, people were saying it was unfair to compare we'll just call it a $600 gun versus a $1,200 gun. The Sig was double the cost, but now that, let's just call it a $600 gun, with all the improvements that I did to it, I think it was right at $270 for all the parts. So now we've got an $870 Beretta and a $1,200 Sig. So is the Legion Series Sig really worth $330 more than what we got here in the Wilson Combat Beretta? And I'm going to have to say, in my opinion, no. I don't see $330 more worth of gun in the Sig over this Wilson Combat Beretta. And that's just my opinion. And I just don't see where it's at. Now, in the first video, at the end, when I said if I was stuck with the option, I had to choose only one, I had to get rid of one, I was definitely going with the Sig. And now that would be a very tough decision for me. I love the Sig, don't get me wrong. The 229 or the 226, love both of them, and especially this Legion series with all the upgrades on it and all the the accessories and what it's got with it. I really do love it, but it never took away from how much I liked the M9 before this project, before the nice trigger, before the safety, before all the upgrades, and so now I'm kind of stuck, really not knowing how to answer it, because I really wouldn't want to get rid of the Sig, but I'm almost leaning towards going with the Beretta now. It's less cost. You got just as nice of a trigger. It's a smidge, less good of a reset on it, but the trigger's nice and light, pretty close to the Sig. The grip feels good, especially now that it's reduced with the better grips on it. The safety's not an issue anymore. The magazine release is easy to get to, and honestly, I'm more accurate with the Beretta than I am the Sig. Now I know the Beretta's got a longer barrel and longer sight radius, so that definitely does help, but I'd almost have to lean towards the Beretta now. I think with all the upgrades, I think the Beretta is a better value to go with, so I'm going to lean more towards the Beretta now and instead of the Sig. But anyhow, guys, I think I've rambled on long enough about this. Just wanted to get my opinions out there after we got all the project done with the Wilson Combat Beretta and took it out and shot it and seen how it was going to work. Really have fell in love even more with the Beretta than I did before, and it has definitely changed my opinions on the value for me in these guns. But anyhow, guys, let me know what you guys think. Would you take the Wilson Combat Beretta or the Sig Legion series, whether it's a 229 or a 226? Definitely let us know down in the comment section below which one you think is the better gun for you, which one is the better value, all that different type of stuff. And I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and if you have any questions or comments about this video or anything else you see here on the channel, ask those in the comment section below, and I'll do my best to get back with you. And before you take off, make sure you check the description box. I've got links to channel sponsors and social media and all different types of stuff, so definitely check that out before you take off. And as always, I appreciate each and every one of you guys watching, and we'll catch you in the next one.